Hey garden friends, today we're going to start some petunia seeds and I'm going to show you how I prep sweet pea seeds for when I'm going to sow them in containers. Many times I direct sow them right out in the garden and they do great, but this time I'm going to show you how I prep them for container sowing. All right, let's get rolling. Before we start on our petunia seed starting, and I've got a little bit of cleanup on my bench here to get to first as well. I had a viewer ask me to take you around here in the greenhouse and share with you many of my plants here. And now since last I did a little bit of view of the greenhouse, I have added a few more tables. So I'm going to grab my phone and walk around with it and share that with you. So grab my phone. And then I will video. So right up here are the hanging pots that I put together last spring for summer. I had to trim back the plants, but look at the coral geraniums are blooming gorgeously. And there is a weeping fig, ficus tree. And that, no, is it a weeping fig? Well, anyways, it's a ficus, and I was going to see if I could overwinter it in here. It did great up until it got kind of sunny and warm. Then this started looking kind of sad, so it might have been too hot in here. Yesterday, it was nearly 80, well, over 80 degrees. So this is a red banana. Look at this down here. It's starting to sprout. Now, we're going to get down in the 20s next week in the night time, so I don't know what that's going to look like. So here's my potting table. And I have some freshly washed little pots that I need to get stacked up. And I've got some potting to do, or seed starting. So up here are some other things. I potted up the ivy geraniums that I had. So let me show you all the geraniums I've started in here from cuttings, some from seeds. This is an orange one. I thought I had lost all my orange ones, but I'm so happy. So I'm going to take a lot of cuttings of that one. More here. I've become a geranium nut recently. This is an echinacea that I found on the ground out in the garden, secret cottage garden. The gophers had been eating it, so I divided it, and now I have potted it up so it can recover. Here's another piece of it. This is the ranunculus that I had potted up a couple weeks ago, and it's doing beautifully. So another geranium. I have a lot in this color because I started a lot. Now the viewer wanted to know what this plant was. This is a bamboo. I have several from a friend. Well, she gave me one big one and I divided it. And I have a video all on dividing and the bamboos. So down here is a rose I started from a cutting. And this is a little geranium, more geraniums, different colors. And this one I just love. I've been taking cuttings of it to get more of it because I just have the one. This large red one, this is the same color as the ones I potted up for my father-in-law. Some violas I bought as a 6-pack and I put in 4-inch pots. And they're doing just beautiful. So this one is a chocolate bamboo. The canes stay a dark brown. That one has struggled. I don't think it likes our climate, whereas the other one I think is a golden bamboo and it's much tougher and all of that. Here's some more geranium cuttings. I do nothing fancy, just cut them off, stick them down in the soil, several in a pot, and they should take off just fine. These are the Sahara mixed Rebecchias that I seeded last October. And you see they're doing beautifully. They're still very small because we have just come out of what's called the Persephone period, meaning the days are so short that everything stops growing. It just kind of stalls. And now we've come out of it, everything will start growing again. Some more geranium. These are the Martha Washington or Regal pelargoniums that I have started. These are Bill Wallace hardy geraniums. I just dug those up. That thing reseeds very readily, and I've been potting up the extras that were growing like in my pathway and whatever. This is my storage shelf here. I'm going to tidy it up. I have more of these crates where I could put everything in it. It'll look nicer. More cuttings that I have done. Things I dug up. This is the, is it Origeron? Santa Barbara daisy. And this is California buckwheat, the red. That's a California native. This is a Pakaki, Arabian jasmine. I usually overwinter it in my house. I wanted to see how it would do out here. So far, it's doing fantastic. And that is my hardy banana. And this is a rack I had on my back deck, and it has more plants on it, heucheras and stuff that I have divided. And up there, in all their glory, are the pots of the overwintered geraniums that I potted up, and they're just getting going, so I can give them to my father-in-law. They will put out new shoots, put out blooms, and be beautiful. So that basically is what's going on in the greenhouse. I should make sure I move slower. I usually start editing this and realize I have moved too fast. So yeah, I've got things around. I was moving. I put this new table in. You can see it's just two, what are those, stools that I put two fence boards across, and I made a tabletop because I needed more space. And my trusty dusty heater. Yeah, today it is about 60 degrees in here, so I don't need a heater, but this next week I will. So let's get rolling on our potting up and on with our chat. Okay, so here we go. We have a container. Now, what I'm going to do, this has been, I wouldn't say sterilized, boiling water, pasteurized, put over it to kind of kill off some of the fungus gnats. But it's been sitting here a couple days, so I know they probably some more have gotten in it. Not a big deal. But what I wanted to do was I'm going to fill this with, this is very moist from, of course, the boiling water being put in it. And this is just a regular potting soil. Nothing fancy at all. And I'm going to put it in here. We'll get on with our chat in just a minute about a boring garden. And I'm going to really press it in here. Press it. I'm going to make it kind of even as possible, level. Now I pushed with that, but I need something firmer. Maybe this will help. Yes, I want to really firm it down. Now I think this is going to be cohesive enough where it sticks together enough to do what I want it to do. Just making sure it's as even as possible. Looks like there's a little bit on this edge that needs to be brought up to make it level with the other. A little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to take, okay, let's see. My garden knife will have to work. I really would have preferred like a butter knife, but this will work. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in squares, kind of like you would brownies. And I'm going to make them maybe 1.5 inches. Now this is kind of tearing it up. It's lifting. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do 3 rows. Like I said, I would have preferred a butter knife to do this. And then I'm going to go back this way, kind of like you're doing a tic-tac-toe board. So this is in lieu of soil blocking. So even though that's kind of loose there, I will put these kind of back together, but I've sliced through. And there is no drainage in this, so this should stay moist. I am not going to cover it. So there we go. Now many times I would just have sown with not cutting this grid. I would have sown the seeds on top and then just let them grow all together and then divide them out. But I was watching a video, and I don't remember who it was, and they had a big sheet pan, like cookie sheet, that had the small edges, and they did this on the cookie sheet, pressed it flat, and then they cut the grid, and they said you could do whatever size. If you want the really small ones, you could. Now this is supposed to help when you go to plant out or take these out, that they hold together similarly to the soil blocks. And then you just plant, you just dig up the one block, and then you go on. This is the Easy Wave vein, purple vein petunia. Plum vein, excuse me. Now this, I decided to go ahead and do this one. I love this color. I've done it before, or grown it before. And Vita at Vita Loca Gardening, she does a lot of seed starting videos. And she's all about budget gardening, which I love. And then also soil and margaritas. And there's one other person involved in this grow along. And this is one of the seeds they're growing, Easy Wave Plum. This one's from Johnny's. I know there's other companies that carry that too, but they're growing 3 different types of flowers. One is the petunia, the Easy Wave, and then the other is linen zinnia, and then Durango red marigolds. And this is the Tagetes petula. So this is a bedding marigold. So that should be really pretty. Now these two, I'm not going to start right now because I would have to nurture them or grow them inside for a very long time. Now, I have recognized or realized over the years that both zinnias and marigolds, the ones that I start indoors ahead of time, and the ones that I direct sow, the direct sown ones that I sow later, do catch up really quick. And they surpass or grow as well as the ones I start ahead of time. And that means I didn't have to go all the work of caretaking for them for the months before I put them out directly in the garden. Now, if we have a very cold, late winter, meaning going through May as far as snow, I will start some in May in here, but I'm not going to do them now because there's absolutely no reason to start this early with these plants, these particular flowers, because they are warm weather. They like the soil warm, they like the air warm, so starting them and having them grow indoors, there's no point. So they said there's 25 seeds, so I'm going to do 2 per block. Now, if both germinate, then I can divide them out. There's nothing wrong with having to divide them. Now, I try to get the seeds a little bit far apart, so when I go to divide them out, then it won't be so tough to get the roots apart because they'll start to intertwine. If I left them in this container too long because it's so shallow, they would start going down and running across anyways. And so, yeah, just I will prick them out probably when they're very, very, maybe the second set of true leaves and all of that. Now, I do start petunias ahead of time because number 1, they will grow in cooler temps. And number 2, they take a long time for me to get blooming. So I like having a head start with them. In fact, many years they're blooming on my light rack in my office where I have my seed starting rack. And that's just fun because I lost one. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Stuck to my finger now. Yeah, so it's fun to have blooms inside. And they don't mind, I don't know what you could say, growing together in a 6-pack. Or if I potted these up, I'd probably pot each individual one in one of these. And then this would be just fine. And then I could put them out when it was time. Now I have found that petunias will, at least the wave petunias I've grown from seed, do put up with some frost. So even if we got a late one, I wouldn't put these out till probably early June. But that doesn't mean every now and then we have a late frost in June. So that's a possibility, but I'm not worried about these because they have made it. In fact, one year I grew, they don't have them anymore. I don't know why. A double wave petunia, and I grew those from seed. And I put them out, and then we had a hard freeze. And I was like, okay, there goes all of my plants. I have a few left over. I wonder if I should just go ahead and sow them. I should. I can always divide them out. I don't have that many left. These ones are pelleted. That means that this soil should stay fairly moist to get through the pellet or the coating that's on them. Now I'm going to just kind of firm it down in here. So that they're touching very well. I should say there's good contact. And then, now I had one package say if it's pelleted seeds, you need to not put anything on top. Well, I didn't find that as successful as me just putting barely a bit on top. Now, I usually have vermiculite on hand, and I don't. And that really helps to put down a top layer that retains moisture but doesn't block the light. Also, I had some cork. I don't know where I put it. I need to find all my gear. When I moved into this bigger greenhouse. It took me quite a while to get in here because my husband was building it. So I don't know or remember where I put all of my stash of seed starting supplies. That's probably in the basement, but now that I'm just getting going, I haven't taken the time to go look. I've been just going for it. All right. Okay, so there's my brownies of petunias. This will go on the light rack in my office where I grow seeds. And then we'll see what kind of germination we get with this. I hope we get a lot because I love this color. So before we get to our sweet peas, I wanted to show you what I got when I went to shopping at Green Acres. And here's the paludism daisies. I got 3 6-packs. They were 5 something each. And whoops, that was on that other thing. Anyways, $5 each. Well, I think maybe closer to 6. So I was okay with that rather than starting from seeds because I'm going to pot these up. They're going to be bigger. And I didn't want the weight, the hassle, the whatever from starting from seeds for these. I have so many other things to start from seeds, and I knew Green Acres would have these, and I'm okay with $6 per 6-pack. And then I got this new to me ground covers. Looking a little weepy here. They were left overnight in my car and it got really, really cold. Though this is supposed to be hardy here. And it also probably needs a little bit of water. But this is called Trifolium 4-Luck Green Glow. And it is hardy down to zone 4. It's perennial, height 4 to 6 inches, space 8 to 10 inches apart. And yeah, Trifolium. So this is a new to me ground cover. You know I do love good ground covers. And this one has such pretty leaves. Look at that on it. So yeah, very interesting. And there was another one in there. You know what? I probably cut that part out. But I always love trying new to me ground covers to see what's really going to be great. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our sweet peas started. Let me see. Let me get my seeds. I have other seeds I want to start this week. The Early Girl Tomato, that one is, I always grow it because it can handle much cooler temperatures than many other tomatoes. And so I want to get an early start on that. And I'm sure there's others around here in my area that would like them. And there's plenty of seeds in here. These are from last year, so I might sow extras just to be sure I get what I want. So these are the sweet peas that I'm going to treat so that I get plenty. Where did I do with my little thing? I had a little cup here. Well, bother, did I put it down? Well, anyways, let me go look. I didn't want to forget this. Look at this gorgeous primrose, the double pink. Isn't that beautiful? This is also something I picked up. This is totally frivolous. Hopefully this one will be as hardy as all the others in my garden that come back every year. And it's just filled with blooms down underneath. I'm not putting this outside right now. We are supposed to get at least a foot, if not more, of snow this next week. And so everything will be covered in white. So well, I guess we're finally going to get winter halfway through February. But that's okay as long as it's gone by May. There's no guarantee we can get snow through May, but one can hope. Let me close this door. It's nice and toasty in here because the sun is shining. And it doesn't want to stay closed. Whatever, we'll just go with it. Now here is my little cup. This is just a little recycled cup from some food. we had gotten. And I'm going to put a little bit of water in it. Now with sweet peas, pre-soaking can help with breaking the seed coat. Now a lot of people will say to scarify or to like put a nick in the seed coat. I have never found that necessary. In fact, on one of my blog posts about growing sweet peas, and I had included this in a past video, I've done several videos on starting sweet peas from seed. I showed you where a sweet pea was in my greenhouse sitting on top. Somehow it spilled out, and it was sitting on top of a pot of soil of another plant, and it had started to sprout just from the moisture from sitting on top of that. So to me, I've never ever had to scratch them. It doesn't, to me, hasn't helped to germinate them. Okay, now this is a very old seed packet. This is from 2021. How it got shoved in the back and not used, I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and soak at least half of them in this little thing of water. And I will come back tomorrow and sow them. Do not let them sit in water more than 24 hours because they rot. And then they are then not viable. I've accidentally done that. Now let's hope tomorrow doesn't goof up and miss doing it. But so I have a lot in here. Now our snow is not supposed to come until Sunday. This is Thursday. So I can put some out in the garden and others, and even then I don't even have to soak them before putting them out. Since we're still getting so much moisture, I can put them out in the garden. Now starting sweet peas cool, they like the cool soil. They actually for me have been hardier through the entire summer. We get very cool nights, even in the summer usually. So I can get blooms all the way through summer, where many others who have much warmer climates, they will stop, or they'll get powdery mildew, or they will just need to come out. But for me, I can get blooms, like I said, all summer long. So this is February, and I will put these, maybe I'll go ahead and pot these ones up. Now these are, I have some specialty colors I specifically wanted, and I'm really only soaking these to see which ones are viable. They all look like they're still good, but I'll be able to tell more because none are really floating. And floating, they would automatically tell me that it was probably an iffy seed. But anyway, so that's how I prep sweet pea seeds to be sown. Now, I sowed a bunch from the Royal Wedding sweet pea that climbed up one of my rose arbors in my rose alley. Did beautiful all summer. I loved it because it was blooming right about the height of my nose, and every time I walked by, it was beautiful. It was partly shaded from the rose growing on that arbor, so it just bloomed and bloomed until first frost. And I also would pick off the seed pods. I let some of them go to seed, and I spread them on the other arbors. I could also do that with these leftover seeds. I could take them out and just plop them in the soil there by my rose arbors, and I may get some of these to grow up. Now, it's, like I said, it's a variety of colors. If I wanted a specific color, then I would do that. I have one called watermelon that I want to put in an area to pick. And I am going to plant some, and I could do these right here, these extra ones, around the chicken pen. And I'm going to put a trellis up because I wanted things to grow up the chicken pen wire to help shade the chicken pen area and have it be prettier than it was last year with these. I had tarps, not tarps, but drop cloth. And even though drop cloth in of itself isn't ugly, hanging there, it kind of looked, I don't know what you would say, less than lovely. But I had seen a landscape, it was a landscaper, it was their website or Facebook page, and they showed where they had planted like a climbing zucchini. I love zucchetta. Well, it's called trombosino now, but it's a climbing zucchini. It's delicious. And it was going up the corner, and then it went up over top. So I'd have to put the wire up over top of my chicken pen area, and it will provide shade. And it was gorgeous. And I think these grown along the front where I walk to get to the chicken house, which used to be my old greenhouse, these would be lovely growing there. And the chickens wouldn't be able to get to them because they would be on this side of the fence. So that's kind of my plans with that. I started videoing some over there, kind of giving you an idea of what I wanted to do. And I will probably go put these out there right now beside that fence. I got these planted out there next to the chicken pen. That will all be in another video. When they start to grow, when they plant my squash out there, whatever else I'm going to put out there. I have some roses too that I could put inside the chicken pen with some protection to grow up. So those are all ideas I have for that area. So that's the end of this video on my petunia seed starting, how I pre-soak these seeds. They're already plumping up, so that's promising. And now I'm going to go ahead and I am going to pot up my new clematis. So that'll be in another video. I will see you next time.